after days of torrential rain. Authorities say it's the worst flooding in decades, and experts are linking the storms to climate change.
Floods are fairly common here, but rescuers say that these are some of the worst that they've ever witnessed. They've already retrieved the bodies of 3 people from a single family, and there's a desperate search for a fourth, a 10-year-old child.
It happened so fast there was little time to escape. A mother and her 7-year-old child were killed when the car they were in was swept away by the floods.
Across Asia, Mother Nature is wreaking havoc. In Sri Lanka, several people are missing due to heavy rainfalls causing a mudslide.
The death toll climbing in Indonesia's capital, Jakarta, after the city's worst flash flooding in years.
Central Europe is hunkering down for what some are calling the flood of the century.
This could be Rhode Island. Hey everyone, it's Marco. I want to talk about climate change today, but I first wanted to give some background on who I am. I am from Rhode Island and I'm currently living there, but I originally grew up in Indonesia. Rhode Island is a small state in the US and it's pictured here. And then Indonesia is an island nation in Southeast Asia, which is above Australia and below Vietnam, pictured here as well. And I have been studying environmental analysis at Pomona College and have been discussing the issue of climate change in my classes. We're digging into the effects of climate change, and as someone from the ocean state, I wanted to bring attention to the effects it will have on a remote state such as ours. Here's also a photo of me doing bird watching at a field station near Pomona College as part of my environmental classes. Before we can dive right in, I wanted to give some background on what climate change actually is. I define it as an increase in the average temperature of Earth. And it's caused by several different things, but the main thing is burning of fossil fuels, which then releases greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, CO2 into the air, and then this causes temperatures to rise. And the reason these temperatures rise is because as the sun gives out heat, the more greenhouse gases we have, the more heat is trapped by them. And this causes the atmosphere around Earth to increase in temperature, which then has numerous effects on our climate. And depending on the state, this effect will be different, and Rhode Island's problems are looking to be troubling in the greatest sense. To better understand this warming, I found graphs made by the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, that visualizes this data. First, let's look at the warming trends in Rhode Island beginning in 1900. We can see a clear trend upward shown by the orange line. Oscillation in that line, or rather the up and down movement, is the seasonality of that trend. The larger swaths of color show the model temperatures. So we can see that the historical data is pretty accurate for what actually occurred, which is the gray area. And this gives us some confidence in the future projections in green and red, which model future temperatures change based on different emission scenarios. As a Rhode Islander, I was curious to see if my experience with what felt like warmer and warmer years was actually true. So I also grabbed an EPA chart of warm days in Rhode Island. We can see that there is a clear trend upwards yet again, and I'm sure viewers from Rhode Island can agree that days feel way hotter. As temperatures in Rhode Island change, so will the weather in the state. Many Rhode Islanders can surely notice the decrease in snow, but there's also been an uptick in the amount of precipitation annually. Rains are getting heavier, and with that, the amount of extreme precipitation events are increasing. By looking at these graphs, you can see in the top right that 2-inch extreme precipitation events have been above averages, which is the black line, the past couple of years, as well as observed annual precipitation has also been above average in the past couple of years, which is shown in the bottom left. These extreme changes in precipitation in conjunction with Rhode Island's location near the ocean is bad news. Furthermore, we've been experiencing many floods. I myself remember driving to the gym just last summer, looking out the window and seeing a whole house underwater. What I saw not only startled me, but genuinely made me feel a feeling of fear. Fear for my home, my family, and my state's future. It reminded me of my past memories of my childhood. As I mentioned earlier, I grew up in overseas in Indonesia, and I remember how bad floods can be. Jakarta, the capital city, or what used to be the capital city, used to experience horrible floods, so bad that many people lost their homes and even lives. It got so bad that the country of Indonesia has literally been forced to move the capital from Jakarta to Kalimantan. The city is literally sinking beneath the population's feet. These changes seem so far away in Indonesia, but Rhode Island is experiencing some of the same issues right now. In an EPA report, it was said that using measurements for Newport, Rhode Island, it was found that Rhode Island sea level average was rising by about 0.11 inches per year from 1930 to 2022, which would be 11 inches in a century. This is a graph of the observed and projected annual number of tidal floods for Province Rhode Island. Based on intermediate to low emission scenarios shown in light blue, it's clearly pointing upwards, peaking at a staggering 175 tidal floods a year. That is mind-boggling, nearly half a year of floods. The graph also models tidal floods with intermediate emissions as well in dark blue. With this scenario, which seems to be increasingly realistic with the way humans have been releasing greenhouse gases, our future seems a lot more precarious. A whole year of floods, 365 days of floods. The effects will not only be that of our peril, but also everything else. Our lives, economies, and landscapes will change. Even the very core of our state will change. How we react in an attempt to protect the future of our state, our neighbors, our family, and our livelihoods will determine if these models prove to be true. This is the story of 365 days of floods. As always, guys, thanks for watching.